Get started. I hope everybody's having a happy Tuesday. We'll call this meeting to order. Chair recognizes Madam Clerk.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I need a little direction. Are we going?
So I think we've got one item, Madam Clerk.
One item is
the additions to the agenda, and I think that's a special call meeting item. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Why don't we go ahead and dispose of that while we're here, and
Okay.
we'll address that first, which is why I recognize you, and then we'll come to the
Okay.
attorney. Okay.
Okay. All right. Item number 3 is a request from Orion Waste for the approval of a 2-year contract extension. Attached to the addendum agenda is the revised contract amendment that was in your book. So we need to accept, reject, or modify the addendum and proceed with addressing item number 3 on our agenda.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is, again, as she's indicated, a revised contract. Are there any objections to receiving this information and then adopting this? All right. Without objection. All right. Okay, I'm going to come to you. I just want to get it on the agenda first with the amendments. All right. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Madam Clerk just mentioned that there was some updates to this amendment here.
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody identify exactly what that was?
All right. Chair recognizes the attorney.
Well, as head of the garbage disposal production in Augusta, good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. There was a change submitted yesterday by Environmental Service Director, who is also present if you want to hear directly from Mr. Stayer. But I've identified the change in number 2, section
8.2.5.
Yes. The change from the prior version that was sent out in your agenda on Friday is making exact the amount of the monthly payment. It was previously stated loosely as $55,000. It actually will be $55,909.49 per month.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
There is one additional change as well.
Okay.
Continue.
Number 3 in that amendment lists that the contractor is agreeing to submit to Augusta in exchange for the extension of this contract, the non-contract protrusible waste, which is waste that decay, which is waste other than C&D, construction and demolition. The director, who can speak, indicated that he agrees with this policy because it has to be applied across the board, and it is an improvement over what we have now. However, it could be more aggressive, but he felt a good balance would be to get this degradable waste at first, and when the contracts are revisited at some point in the future, Augusta can holistically address the idea of binding haulers to bring all waste to Augusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. Very well. All right. We fully understand that. All right. Chair recognizes the Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir. May I ask the
please.
administrator question? Sir.
Yes, sir.
Do we have everything in this contract that we need?
Absolutely. Yeah, this one has been negotiated. All parties agree. Legal has reviewed it, and it is to the T. After this is the change of control. So that is a separate item. But for the contract, it is fully ready to go, all parts included, and all parties agree.
Thank you, Administrator Donald. All right.
Okay. Hang on
All
a
right,
second,
hold on.
sir.
The Commissioner, the Mayor Pro Tem still has the floor.
Change of control.
Yes, sir.
That's done.
So the change of control will come forward next. So the parties have exchanged all of the information. I believe it has been reviewed by legal and will be coming forward next. I thought it was going to be on this agenda, but it has not come forward. But it is because this is special called, I'm assuming. So, but those are two separate items. Contract first, and then the change of control is next.
Okay, I second Mr. Hassan's motion. Yeah,
I think I thought it was the commissioner from the 4th who made the motion.
No, that was Commissioner Sun.
It was? Okay. My apologies.
no,
All right, we got a motion and a second. That's the key.
yeah, and Catherine McKnight said she did second it.
Okay. Madam Clerk, motion from the commissioner from the 6th, second from the 3rd. Voting.
Go ahead. He's not there. That motion carries with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Franum out.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, members of the commission. Chair recognizes Attorney Brown.
Mayor, Commissioners, will request a motion to go into executive session for the discussion of pending or potential litigation, real estate, and personnel.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
So move.
All right, voting. All right, I believe the commissioner from the 8th, Chair of Engineering Services, you were in the queue and you came out. Okay, all right. My apologies.
Mr. Clark in? Oh, okay. That motion carries with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Franum out.
Steak dinner.
I'm sorry.
Steak dinner,
Lunch.
lunch.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and reconvene our meeting. Okay. If you'll take your seats and cease conversations, we're going to proceed. All right. Thank you. Okay. Chair recognizes Attorney Brown.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioner, we request a motion to execute the closed meeting affidavit.
So moved.
Voting.
That motion carries with Mr. Johnson out.
Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 7th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the chair of the ad hoc redistricting committee, I thought it was important to kind of make sure the general public understands where we are and where we're going. Understanding that what you've seen in public is a draft. This draft was put together by an individual in Atlanta that didn't really know the communities, the neighborhoods, and just basically made the numbers look the way they did within the maps. Now, the ad hoc committee has agreed that we will not make any changes on the maps until we go into the community to hear the community's feedback on the redistricting. Next week, we will start in the public. We're going to have 3 public meetings in different parts of Richmond County, making sure that we cover each area so that citizens can be heard. You also can be heard online, where the comments will go to the committee members as well. But just wanted to state for the record that this is a draft. This is the beginning. This is not the Augusta redistricting map. It will not be the way it is currently. I can guarantee you that. But understand that we do have guiding principles that we have to uphold to as a committee, and that some neighborhoods will be put back together and some will not. It's just the way the facts are. We're going to do the best we can to put neighborhoods back together where we can. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Frana. All right. Attorney Brown, I think that's all the business before us at this point.
That is correct.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call public services to order, please. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda, Ms. Bonner?
Yes, sir. We have one request.
Okay.
It will be a companion item on the Harrisburg West End item on the agenda.
This will be number 8, the addendum as the enterprise zone. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It will be an additional standalone item, but a companion item to
Okay.
that one.
Companion. Okay. All right. And the committee, we're going to add this as the addendum without objection. Ms. Bonner, as we discuss the agenda, my colleagues on the committee have agreed that we are going to delete agenda item number 11.
Okay. Give me a minute, sir, here. Item number 11 deleted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then consent item, agenda items number 1, number 4, number 5, number 7, number 9, and number 10.
Okay, that would be 1, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, and delete 11.
Yes, ma'am. Can I get a motion to that effect, committee?
I didn't hear. Who was that?
Can
So move.
That was you?
Yes.
we got a motion and a second from Commissioner in District 10. Voting, please.
That motion carries with Mr. Johnson absent today.
All right, Ms. Bonner, if we can go top down, number 2, please.
Okay. Ms. Walton?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. We have an existing location. It's alcohol number 21-33, a request by Melanie Harvey for an on-premise consumption liquor license to be used in connection with the Soul Food Kitchen located at 471 Highland Avenue. This application has been approved by the Sheriff's Office and Planning and Development. Do we have any objectors to this alcohol petition?
None noted.
My name is Melanie Harvey, and my address is 347 Old Salem Way, Martinez, Georgia, 30907.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
Second.
Got a second? Voting, please.
That motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Agenda item number 3, please.
The second agenda item is a discussion to consider probation, suspension, or revocation of the alcohol license and business license for Miss Natalie Chang Lassick of 7 Mill Entertainment LLC, doing business as Sun Young Ho at 521 Broad Street, for failure to comply with the Augusta, Richmond County Alcohol Ordinance and Occupation Tax Ordinance.
Okay.
The Sheriff Department will elaborate on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. You want the time?
Good afternoon.
How you doing, sir?
20.
Too bad, thank you. We would actually like to have
Can-
Sun Young Ho placed in, basically put on.
Can I get your name?
I'm sorry, Jose Ortiz, Richmond County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Rhodes.
There was a shooting that occurred at Mr. Lassick's business,
Oh, yeah.
where 3 individuals were actually shot inside the business. One was also shot outside. One of the individuals inside the business was a 20-year-old. I've actually talked to Mr. Lassick several times. Every time I've talked to Mr. Lassick, he's complied with what I've asked him to do. He's done or helped the sheriff's office out quite a bit. He's got a metal detector, something he told me he was going to get. He did get it. Obviously, it wasn't used that night because somebody brought a gun inside the business. Mr. Lassick advised me himself that sometimes the promoters that he's using to bring business to his club are telling the bouncers, the guys who are supposed to check IDs, use the metal detectors, that they're fine, that they're let them through, which is what's happening, which I'm guessing is what happened this night. When I spoke to Mr. Lassick about it, he told me that the only person he knows was shot was the bouncer. Statement from the bouncer says that he saw a fight inside the club, went to break it up. The fight, as he went to break it up, one of the suspects pulled a gun from his waistband and started shooting into the crowd. He was shot inside the club. There was the 20-year-old who witnessed the fight, was in the dance floor, was shot in the club, and then there was somebody who was coming out of the bathroom who was shot, I believe it was on the right thigh. There was a fourth person who was shot through the shoe but didn't actually get struck. And then there was a person who got shot in the buttocks outside the club. We are wanting probation for 6 months. We're not trying to close his business down. We just, he's got the tools to prevent this stuff from happening. They're just not being used.
Okay. Question: is this a 21 and up establishment?
Yes.
And so there was a 20-year-old in there.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And your recommendation is that go with past practices, kind of what we've done in your experience in Richmond County? Or, I mean,
There's been multiple shootings in Richmond County. If they happen inside a club, usually we try to work with them. Usually with numerous shootings that have happened, we request they pull their alcohol license, which is the time prior that I came here for private eye.
okay. And my last question I'll ask the committee is, did you say the promoter was kind of renting out the club that night? Or
Correct. So he uses a promoter to bring people to the club. This is something that we've talked to before to him about, where promoters don't care about his business; they care about their business. They care about bringing money to themselves, and I believe that's what the issue is. These guys are bringing all these people into the club. They're telling them, "Hey, don't let these people in. Don't worry about them. They're fine," and they're coming into the business. I've talked to them about the promoters and said, "Hey, this is not a good idea." I've actually told them they're supposed to have a business license through Richmond County, which they don't. And he's told me a couple of times that he's gonna quit using promoters. And twice prior to that, he told me he was gonna stop using promoters before this last incident. And then the night of the shooting, there was supposed to be another function where a promoter was used.
okay. So, to your knowledge, the promoters that have used the club have still not got licensed, and you've asked a few times.
Correct. I know the names of them, and I checked with license inspections. They do not have a license
Okay.
in Richmond County.
Okay. All right. Anybody got any questions, follow up? Commissioner Hassan.
Yeah, I do. I don't know why it won't come up on the screen there. I don't know. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that I understand what the officer's saying. You said previously you've asked the owner to be weary of using promoters, being leery or weary, whichever, of using promoters. However, if those promoters happen to get a 1-day or 2-day business license that is appropriate still if they want to use promoters, but that promoter needs to abide by all the rules and regulations of Augusta, Richmond County, including using all the tools that you just mentioned that the club owner had went out and purchased and have them at his disposal, just wasn't in use that particular night.
Correct. I mean, if he wants to use promoters, that's fine. We just want to be done the right way.
Okay. Just want to make sure of that. Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Commissioner Clark?
Yes, sir. Officer Ortiz, do you have a uniform practice of, if a club violates this is what you recommend. If they violate this is what you recommend. If you have a shooting, this is what you recommend. Do you do that consistently across the board with the same recommendations for every club that has an infraction?
The first time I came in front of you was the private eye. The second time was, or I didn't even have to come here the second time, was Smokehouse or Southbound. The Southbound individual, we talked to him numerous times. License inspection talked to him numerous times. The private eye, we spoke with them numerous times until that shooting happened where 2 subjects ended up deceased. And this is the third time I actually put a letter in. So since I've been here, the practices have been the same. If there's a shooting inside the club, I'm going to recommend, especially if they've worked with us and we've had communication back and forth, I will recommend the 6-month probation. If somebody's just telling me, nope, I'm not going to do what you asked me to do, then my recommendation may be different. I have not had that happen to this date.
Okay, and to follow up, when we're talking about promoters in other cities, promoters are just extensions of a club owner to help bring people into his club. It doesn't necessarily mean that a promoter leases that club for the night. So are we talking about outside promoters leasing a club, or are we talking about promoters being an extension of the management?
From my understanding, they get with Mr. Lassick. They say, I can bring you business in. They start handing flyers out, whatever event that they're having that afternoon or that evening. They'll bring in guest artists to perform at the club. And at the end of the night, I believe we spoke about this, where the promoter will actually pay the bouncers, and whatever money is made that night, I'm not sure how that's dispersed.
Okay, but the liquor license is still being used under the owner's name.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So the promoters can put the owners in jeopardy.
Yes, sir.
I think that probably the owners moving forward will change policies, is what I predict. So what is your firm recommendation on this?
I just 6 months probation is all we ask. We're not trying to shut the business down. I'm not trying to hurt the business, but he needs to understand that there are serious consequences when there's guns coming into a bar and 20-year-old in a bar and several people get shot in the bar.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a recommendation that we move this forward to full commission with no final recommendation.
Okay. Okay. Let's have a little bit more discussion because there's some clarity points that we want to speak on before we get that second. First off, can we hear from the other side on kind of whoever representing them? Yes. If you, please state your name.
Absolutely. Commissioners, my name is Jeffrey Peel. I'm an attorney here in Augusta. My office is actually out in Evans, and I represent the Lassics and 7 Mill Entertainment. The thing I'd like to say about the incident is I have basically about 5 things I want to sum up. Number one, I think it's important for the commission to realize where we are in this process right now is just accusation. My clients have been cited with a violation of the ordinance. We have not had that hearing yet, and so we haven't had a chance really to review any of the evidence that is out there. We're not saying we're denying it. We're not saying we admit it either. We don't know a lot of what happened that night because we haven't had the chance to go through arraignment and actually see what evidence the state has. Now, listening to Mr. Ortiz, we're definitely not saying that we have any reason to doubt what he's saying, but obviously it's the state's burden in this case to show what happened, and we really just don't know. We don't have a lot of those facts. The second thing I'd like to point out is who my clients are. Mr. Lassick is a 21-year veteran of law enforcement. He has worked and served his community, and he is retired and is retired honorably. I mean, he's a man who understands the law, understands how to abide by the law, and as Officer Ortiz pointed out, he has cooperated 100% fully with this investigation to get to the bottom of it. Mm-hmm. He wants to run a club. He wants to run a successful club. This club is actually named after his wife's mother, and so it has a special place in their heart. They want to make sure it thrives and is successful. The last thing they want is for people to be injured or for minors to be served or anything along those lines. So, using Mr. Ortiz's own words, my clients have fully complied. They absolutely wish to do that, and they provided a copy, the third point, of their safety plan to Officer Ortiz regarding metal detection and all these things to make sure that none of this happens in the future. So we'd hammer home at this point that our position is basically probation is fine because there's really nothing they have to hide. They plan to make sure that this never happens again.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Yes, sir. I'm not a part of this committee, but I'd like to ask the lawyer a question.
Sure.
And he may or may not answer this. How does someone under 21 get in the club?
Respectfully, Commissioner, that's one of the things we're not even sure about at this time. Right now, we have Mr. Ortiz's statement based on his interviews with witnesses that there was someone underage in the club. Standing here today, and I mean, I don't mean any funny business by it, we don't have any evidence of that. We haven't been shown anything. We haven't spoken to any witnesses or anything along those lines. So, I mean, as it stands, we don't know. But I'll tell you, the proprietors are just as interested in getting to the bottom of it to make sure it never happens again.
Got you, but I think the officer's recommendation for at least 6 months of probation is probably the least that he could do. So, like I said, I'm not a member of this committee, but I would recommend 6 months of probation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Rob Sherman, or Ms. Walton, whoever. Point of clarity, our book says one recommendation, then Officer Ortiz said another, and I'm trying to understand which.
That's correct. So the recommendation that's in there is the same one that we had for southbound, but we put that as probably the harshest penalty but waiting on the discussion during the meeting to see if that is applicable. They're talking about the promoter. The license holder, regardless, is responsible for the operation of the business. So the 6 months at least probation is certainly warranted in this case.
Okay, and just for people that don't have their books in front of them, the recommendation was to suspend the business license and alcohol license for 90 days and place the business license and alcohol license on probation for 1 year, was the recommendation in our books. Thank you for that clarification. Commissioner McKnight?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the attorney something real quick, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Just when my colleague was mentioning about how underage people get in, and you said you weren't sure about it, what about the bouncer or somebody at the door? When they check IDs, what about these fake IDs?
So my understanding is that they have pretty strict protocols, IDing people and wanting people, that kind of thing, when they come into the club. But there was an allegation, I don't know if it's something from the newspaper, from a reporter, or from the officer, but that this promoter somehow waved someone through security, said they're a friend of mine, let them through, and whoever was working that security that night may have let this person through. That's the accusation as I understand it. But again, I would reiterate, it's just an accusation. We don't have any definitive information at this point.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know. It's kind of like almost the same thing a little bit. Guns weren't involved at Southbound, but yeah, they're letting a lot of these young children in with these fake IDs, and that's something that needs to be cracked down on. But I was just curious as to how the person got in underage. So, thank you.
Commissioner Alvin Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the attorney, did I hear you stipulate that the 6-month probation would be appropriate at this point?
Not to give you a lawyer response, I'd say 6 months probation, we're not going to object to it. We want to cooperate, and what we're saying is we don't mind being on probation because we have nothing to hide.
Then, with that being said, I would make a substitute motion to...
Well, we don't have
He didn't get a second. He didn't get a second.
Oh, he didn't get a second. Well, how about that? Well, we'll just make a motion then to do the suspension as recommended.
Probation.
Probation, rather. We don't want to go that far. We want to do a probation as recommended for 6 months. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
I'll second that.
Is he asleep?
I don't know. All right, we got a motion and a second for the 6-month probation. Voting, please.
Mr. Johnson is out. Mr. Clark.
Commissioner Clark.
Clark.
Okay.
He's thinking.
We're going to full commission, so you can. All right.
That motion carries.
Mr. Peel, I will just say that next week it'll be on the full commission, but we asked also that, moving forward, any promoters do have licenses, and we will be watching that for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Agenda item number 6, please.
Item number 6, Ms. Walton.
It's a request by Yuri Hong for a massage operator's license to be used in connection with AU Massage and Facial Studio located at 3635 Walton Way Extension, Suite B. This massage license has been approved by the Sheriff's Office and Planning and Development. Do we have any objectors to this massage application?
Clarification on AU, the definite, what does that stand for?
exactly. My massage place, I prefer to do like medical massage, but I was thinking change it into Augusta massage. Change it into Augusta.
Are you referencing Augusta University in your name?
No, just Augusta.
Okay. Okay. And can we clarification, Ms. Walton? I'm confused. Sheriff's Office approved the application subject to additional information not contradicting applicant statements. What does that mean?
Basically, we put that in there, Commissioner Franham. If anything comes up after we've approved the application, before we meet with you all, we can bring that up.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Mason?
All right, I just want to make sure that we're clear on the name. What is this? What is the name? I see AU Massage.
Yeah, right now it's AU Massage and Facial Studio.
Right. So what exactly is AU?
I just use those like Augusta first two letters. So if I was thinking the people, when I talk to the people said change into Augusta massage, change into Augusta. If possible, I prefer change into Augusta. AU, Augusta instead of AU.
Okay.
I just think that for clarity, I mean, Attorney, do you want to weigh in? Did you want to weigh in? Okay. All right. We're going to move on and we're going to vote. All right, colleagues. Can I get a motion to approve? Can I get a second? Commissioner Clark? Second. Got a motion and a second?
Yeah,
Voting.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know it's.
We're fine.
You're good.
You're good. Voting, please.
That motion carries unanimously.
All right. Last agenda item number 8.
Commissioner, she
Yes.
never stated her name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Oh, my name is Yuri Huang. My living address is 394 Purbeck Lane, Martinez, Georgia.
Okay. And that is for agenda item number 6, AU Massage and Facial Studios, located at 3635 Walton Way Extension, Site B. Thank you. Agenda item number 8, please. 8 and
yes,
the
sir,
addendum.
and the addendum item.
Yep.
And I'll read them together. Item 8 is an update and renewal of the opportunity zones for Laney Walker, Bethlehem, and Harrisburg West End. The addendum item, Enterprise Zone update to the Harrisburg West End.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome in.
Thank you. So today I'm coming before you all for two purposes. One is the Enterprise Zone renewal for Harrisburg West End. That Enterprise Zone needs to be renewed because we can't move to the Opportunity Zone. So it's going to be Harrisburg first, and then we'll move to the Opportunity Zones. So I don't want to inundate you with too much information, so I will start with the fact that the Enterprise Zones for Harrisburg was in place in 2010. It was established, and once they established it, every 10 years you're supposed to renew it. One of the luxuries we have with Enterprise Zones is that even if we don't formally renew it, if the conditions persist, it automatically renews. So no one has lost benefits under the enterprise portion of things. So for Harrisburg, we would like to renew it, and we'd like to readdress the boundaries. Let's see. I'm not sure if it's in your packet, so I'm going to pull it up really quick.
It is.
It is great.
Yep.
That's great. I won't.
And Carla, the reason for increasing the boundaries, so that people understand.
Yes. So essentially every 10 years you're supposed to be showing progress. And one of the ways you show progress is your boundaries change. They should be shifting. Typically development and improvement happens in blocks. So one of the things that we did with this particular zone is we removed in Harrisburg 175 parcels. So the reason we did that is because there was growth there. And one of the things that people don't take into consideration is that in the Harrisburg one, we actually included Lake Olmsted. Lake Olmsted is not going to be developed. The stadium is still fine, everything is intact there, but a lake won't be developed. So that parcel was in there. There were several ancillary parcels, including hospital districts, which are not eligible for tax credits. So the hospital district and AU came out. And that is essentially the change or the difference.
Okay. Is there any questions on that piece before we move on to the? Okay.
Okay. And then now we move into the opportunity zones. Both of those are up for renewal. The incentives, of course, is the job tax credit for both of these districts. In order to have an opportunity zone, you must be preceded by enterprise zone. So at this point, both of our opportunity zones have expired. Of course, reasons related to COVID-19 caused some of that delay, but now we're ready. We're up and ready to go. Again, the boundaries are changing, but they are similar or identical to the enterprise zone. Trying to think. One of the reasons about the job tax credits, that's the main incentive for the opportunity zones. What we have seen in planning and development through conversations of pre-development is that we have a lot of development anticipated in those areas. We want to provide them with those opportunity zone tax credits. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But I can take any questions.
How do we, number one, do we have to have any kind of public forum or anything when we do this?
Yes, I had 3 public hearings in September. They were 2 virtual and 1 in person.
Perfect. And then as far as once we approve it, is there any form of like press release? Like, do we tell the public again?
One of the things I want to do with the campaign this time is that we re-educate the businesses that are going into those areas about the opportunity that is available. So there would be a re-education push once these are renewed, but there is a packet, so we're asking permission to apply to the state for the designation.
Perfect. Commissioner Son?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Collins, how you do, ma'am?
Good, sir.
I think I see somewhere in one of the writings, I'm not sure exactly where I read this at, is that once these get renewed, then you're going to try to backfill them pretty much to, I guess, the original date. What dates would those be?
So for the opportunity zones, it would be January 1, 2021.
Okay. What about the enterprise zone?
Same.
Both of them? Okay.
Yes, actually the enterprise zones won't have to be backfilled because you are not required by state law to renew them. So they would keep the current date, but the opportunity zone would be backdated. Yes, sir.
So when you say you don't have to renew it, do you have to make an assessment and make it official that the status still remain? Because how do you know? Because you could have been, at that 10-year, 11th year, you could be in good status. And so at that point, is it self-renewing itself, or does a pronouncement has to be made that is no longer in the enterprise zone exist in this particular area?
So what we decided to do specifically with Harrisburg, since it is expired, as a good practice or best practice, is to go ahead and renew that enterprise zone officially so that your documents lined up. The Laney Walker Bethlehem is already current, so there is no requirement there. But yes, I recommend that we officially designate it every 10 years so that we stay current. Or if you want to customize the enterprise zone as far as the incentives are available, you may not want to have those same incentives every 10 years. You can increase them, reduce them. So enterprise zones allow for the commission to customize incentives for development. Okay, and that's why you should renew it or revisit it every 10 years rather than just letting it roll over.
Well, which one of these programs, if it may not be either one of these, but which one of them is that allows an area that you are trying to incentivize in terms of coming and building that area out, allows you to suppress or depress the taxes, maybe suppress or depress the taxes?
Right. So it's the enterprise zone.
Okay.
The enterprise zone allows for a tiered reduction in the property taxes. So the first 5 years, it can be 100% abatement of the taxes. And then every few years, they knock it down, knock it down, knock it down. The final one is 20% reduction in your property taxes in the 10th year.
So that means if you build a complex on it, so you're saying that first year you just pay 20% of it, and then you go to 40%, 60%, and 80% in that manner?
The first 5 years, it's frozen.
It's frozen.
Yes, sir.
Can we make a modification to that, or that's in stone?
That is at the state level for a minimum criteria for a enterprise zone.
So let me be clear to understand you. In regards that if someone built a 200 apartment complex in one of these enterprise zones, for the first 5 years, you're saying they'll pay no taxes other than what's on the land that was land that they built on?
Correct. 100% of the property taxes shall be exempt for the first 5 years. And then it drops to 80%. Taxes shall be exempt for the next 2 years. 60% of the property taxes shall be exempt for the next year. 40% of the property taxes shall be exempt for the next year, and 20% of the property taxes shall be exempt for the last year. Now, I want to say this too. Enterprise zones and opportunity zones are not requirements by the state. This is a luxury and an incentive and a tool that local governments can use to attract businesses. It is not required. We don't have to do it, but it is recommended.
So let me ask you this: with a Beacon Station, with the apartment complex on 11th Street, with the complex that we're looking at on 5th and Walton Way, and there will be others that I'm not mentioning, so my colleagues may know, why should we, in that regard, when we're seeing all that development that's taking place at this time, why should we allow it to be an enterprise zone with such a wide footprint? Because, I mean, it looks like it's all of the inner city. We're not even getting to Harrisburg yet. So why should it be such a wide footprint? And we're talking about for the first 5 years, if a person builds a complex there, we will get no tax from that.
Okay, so for instance, you gave Beacon Station, which is in Laney Walker, Bethlehem. One of the things that attracts the developer is the fact that they can acquire this property and get a bit of a tax break. They could go anywhere in Richmond County potentially and have to pay more for the property. So it's a risk reward game, so to speak. So there are no guarantees. But I will say that most municipalities of the size of Richmond County do have a enterprise or opportunity zone. It's all about how much of a discount you would like to give. But the enterprise zone regulations are set at the state level to make sure that states or municipalities don't just create an enterprise zone and then offer no incentive. There is supposed to be some incentive at the local level.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I hold them for the commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go to the administrator.
Yeah, I did also want to kind of get in front of that on a couple of items. One, the school board taxes are actually paid. We can't get around those taxes. I'd also say separately to Commissioner Hassan's question, there are a couple of reasons when you talk about competitiveness. So we actually don't have a incentive package here in Georgia, and so these opportunity and enterprise zones are two of the things that keep us competitive when we look at our neighbors in Columbia County or when we're competing against folks like Atlanta. And so one, the piece that's tied to the federal government when they're doing these activities, that work opportunity tax credit is vital to offsetting some of the costs for business. But then in addition to that, some of the state pieces that you have to be able to apply for that don't actually come out of our coffers also, again, keep us competitive when folks are choosing between us, the counties next to us, South Carolina, and all of these other places for their investments. And so I think from a staff perspective, you know, without a general incentive package, although we will be looking at that in 22 on making recommendations to the commission, I think that these two asks keep us and make us more competitive.
Okay. Commissioner Dennis Williams.
Yes, I just wanted some clarification. On the agenda item, it says the zones for Laney Walker, Bethlehem, Harrisburg, and West End, but yet on the supporting information, it just has Harrisburg, West End Enterprise Zone. Are we talking about 3 different zones or just 2?
Okay, so what we're seeking today is approval of the Harrisburg West End Enterprise Zone, and then we're seeking approval of permission to apply to the state for the approval of 2 opportunity zones, one for Laney Walker, Bethlehem, and one for Harrisburg West End. So it's a total of 3.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion today? Committee, can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Got a motion and a second from the Commissioner from District 10. Voting, please. Hmm.
That's unanimous
All
with
right,
members attending.
Thank you, committee, and that concludes public services.
Before we convene public safety, we're going to go ahead, if Chairman Clark has agreed to allow finance to convene.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this standard
Are we-
practice?
Are we ready, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir, we are.
I'd like to call Finance Committee to order. Are there any additions or deletions?
No, sir.
You said yes?
No, sir.
Oh, no, sir?
Mhm.
Okay. Being none, if my colleagues would agree, I'd like to consent item number 1 with no objections.
Right.
We just need a motion to approve them, sir.
So moved.
Motion.
So moved. Vote.
Wait a minute, that's Mr. Mason and Ms. Scott. Okay.
With that being said, sayonara. We have our phones.
No, we don't. Did we vote?
No, we need you to vote. We didn't have the, no, sir. Ms. Scott.
Yeah, well, make me get up.
It's unanimous. Okay.
Being no other
Thank
business.
you.
Now,
Go ahead, sir.
being no other business, Finance Committee meeting is over with.
Good meeting, sir. Good meeting.
Good meeting.
Okay. Public safety, Mr. Clark.
Yes, ma'am. Call public safety to order. Is there any additions or deletions?
No, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to take item number 2 first, please.
Okay. You need a motion for that?
Like to get a motion? Do we get a motion in a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, voting, please.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Item number 1, please.
Item 1 is an update on the Augusta Fire Department's comprehensive policy review.
Yes. Well, so Chairman, as the chief comes up, we just want to highlight there's a memorandum in your books. And so since Chief Burden has come on, he has really hit the ground running, not only going across the department to meet all of our firefighters and understand our operations, but also to make sure that we are structurally intact. And one of those things that he's taken kind of head on is just looking at our policies and not only looking for the appropriateness of our policies and making sure they're up to date, but also making sure there's a standard by which we review our policies on a regular basis. And so he thought it was a good idea and also good timing to come before public safety to just let you know what his process is prior to him bringing that back to you at a date in the future.
Okay, thank you. And before you proceed, I would just like to tell everybody that I did receive the email from the administrator. It was addressed on the 5th. It came in the agenda books on Friday, and I did receive it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Proceed, Chief. Thank you.
Chairman.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Could you have the chief to explain what that apparatus is that is around his neck?
Can you speak into your mic, please?
Would you have the chief to explain what that apparatus is that is hanging around his neck?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. Thank you. So I have it's a personal air purifier is what I have. And the way it works is through ionization. And so it binds to particles and keeps the air that you breathe safe. And, you know, as I may have mentioned to you before, my mom gave it to me. And so I am obligated to wear it.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it would be interesting to share that you can have your own personal air purifier around your neck.
Yes, sir. So good afternoon, Commissioners. I want to thank you for allowing me to come before you and kind of give you an update on where we are in terms of policies and procedures. I want to also thank you, Commissioner, for meeting with me. And as you're aware, back on August the 3rd, I submitted a proposed 22 budget that really charts the course for our department and how it grows. And a large part of that was a complete revamp of our policies and procedures. When it comes to policies and procedures, I feel it's more productive that we take a really meticulous, more proactive approach to policies and procedures as opposed to being reactionary. And so what we've done is started the groundwork for a very large scale revamp of all of our policies and procedures. I'm told it's the first of its kind. And when it comes to policies and procedures, there's a lot to consider. First of which is the safety and being responsive to the needs of our citizens. I've said it often that the sole reason for the fire department's existence is to enhance the lives of the citizens that it serves. And so we look to create policies that are responsive to the needs of our citizens, that are safe for our men and women as they respond to incidences, policies that are sustainable and constantly being reviewed and updated, and so that we're not here a year from now or 2 years from now discussing a policy, that those policies are constantly being reviewed and updated. And then finally, policies that are in accordance with state law. I think creating that process, as I mentioned, will chart a course and establish a foundation for the department and really chart a course as to where the department is going and allows the department to grow. And so I welcome the opportunity to be able to come before you, present the findings of that work, as well as lay down or formulate a plan that give recommendations for how we move forward in the future.
I think we have questions. Commissioner from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief Burton, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, sir.
You mentioned about dealing with the policies. I have two questions. Number one, what's going to be your process and how you get there in terms and getting the policies to the status that you would like? The second question, we're going to give you the second question now too, so you can consider that. And the second question is, are there immediate changes that you see the need to make, even if they're just temporary, until you get something final in hand?
Yes, Commissioner. I think I can sum up both those questions. Creating policy can be a very laborious process and one that is not taken lightly. And so we're in the beginning stages of that. The process will be, that's what I'm looking for, very meticulous in nature. And so, yes, there will be some that we change immediately, but some that will take a little more time. And so we have to ensure that as we're moving through this process, that we're working in concert with our law department as well as our HR department.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, it might be a good idea also to kind of highlight the efforts to compare policies to some of those other jurisdictions that y'all will be doing as well.
Right, right. So as the commissioner mentioned, what we will be doing is creating a working group of like-sized fire chiefs, of my peers, to do a cursory review of our policies and procedures and really set forth recommendations as we lay the groundwork to formulate a plan of what the end result will be. And so that we're creating policies and procedures, once again, that really take us into the future, that are not just reactionary, but really take us into the future and allow the department to grow.
Do we have any other questions? Chief, thank you for coming before us today and laying some groundwork out. I know that we all have concerns about certain policies being affected immediately. I know that we have to go through the legalities of them, and that does take a little bit of time. We can see that the department has come a long way. The rank and file is number one. They come first. We have to take care of them. We have to look after them, and I think we have come a long way with communication. So I would like to see us going forward get these new policies implemented as quickly as we can. And I'm sure you can do that with the help of the administrator and the legal department. And you said you would, and I believe you are a man of your word. And so I thank you for appearing before us today. And can I get a motion to take this as information?
So moved.
Second.
Voting. Thank you, Chief.
All right, thanks.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, public safety is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sire.
Sire.
King.
Oh, Sire. Sire. Oh.
Yeah, all right. Hey, son, hi, son.
But Bon, I shouldn't have to take that abuse.
I'm trying to.
Well, just tell him.
I'm
Just
trying to
make
figure out
sure.
what that is on this desk down there that keeps them running.
Commissioner Son, do you need a ruling?
I got my deal on the other side of you down there.
Just make sure they call you payday, sir. Don't worry about it.
Well,
Shake it off.
If you can't beat them, Jonah, give me some.
It's just honey. Minimally processed honey. That's all it is.
That's what you say. But that's
Just honey,
Ms. Bonner,
honey.
the administrative services is in order, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Bonner, I think, are there any additions or deletions?
Yes, sir. Did I not pass those out to you? We've been kind of discombobulated today.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am. So this is additional information, right, Ms. Bonner?
Well, there are agenda items that are existing on your
On the agenda item.
and they're being requested to be revised.
Okay, that's agenda item number 2 and 3 for all of my colleagues. Okay. Can we accept this information without any objections? Additional information? No objections? Okay. All righty. Ms. Bonner, we're going to start on number 1, please.
Item number 1 is a report of attendance and recent actions of every board and authority under the Augusta Commission.
Commissioner McKnight, it's your agenda item.
Okay, yes, I'll be brief. Thank you, Commissioner Hassan. I bring this to y'all's attention today, everybody's attention. You know, these boards and commission and authority have not met, probably in about some of them haven't met in about a year and a half. When I came on board, I appointed 15 people to boards, and probably 3/4 of the people that I appointed have reached out to me saying when are they going to meet with, you know, new committees that they've been put on, and you know, I don't have an answer for them. However, I'd just like to find out, see what we can do moving forward as the governing body to put something out there and try to organize better communication with these boards. We have a few boards that meet, which would be like our planning and zoning, library, animal services, historic preservation, our airports. They, I do know, meet, but then there are several, maybe more than several, who have not met. And we just need to find out who on the boards that I've appointed moving forward that attend and who doesn't. And if they don't attend after 2 or 3 meetings, then maybe look for somebody else to replace. But just would like to get some feedback from my colleagues as well as what we can do here to get these boards up and moving again. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go to Commissioner Bobby Williams, and Ms. Bonham will come to you next if he doesn't, the chairman doesn't come, Commissioner Bobby Williams doesn't come to you. Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Yes, sir. I put something similar to this on the agenda, and then somebody, anyway. I appointed some people, the same as you did, Commissioner McKnight, and they were never notified of any meeting or any actions or anything like that. So what I wanted was some way that we would get the attendance, or if we have somebody representing us, that someone would notify us so that we could replace them. 2, we don't know if these committees are meeting, if they have any kind of action or anything like that. What is your recent action? So I believe that each of the commissioners should receive something when they meet, as some type of synopsis telling us, you know, what they're doing, keeping us abreast of what they're doing. I know, you know, somebody said, well, you got a representative on there, but I think as a whole, the committee should notify you as to what they're doing. And then I think we need to look at, are these committees all still relevant? Do we need to replace any? Or what is it that we may need to do with these committees that make them more relevant and working for the city of Augusta? Because we have given them certain areas to take a look at and to make recommendations to make sure that the city stays up to par. I'm not sure about what Mr. Commissioner Hassan is going to ask Ms. Bonner, but I don't know, maybe a letter to these directors or committees or something, telling them to give us attendance updates maybe every other month, every 3 months, and give us a synopsis of what they're doing from time to time.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Bonham, I'm sure this is probably not our first rodeo around this this government meeting around this issue, and so could you assist us in at least trying to see about all of these boards and see how active they are, and when they're meeting, and at the same time to let us know, have they made abreast of all the persons who's been appointed to the board? Have they sent proper notice to those individuals that the commissioners have appointed to those boards?
Yes, sir. And for the commission, to bring back to your remembrance, back in March 19th of 2020, when the commission made, I'm going to have Ms. McFarley put that on the screen for us. That was the motion that was made. Commissioner Garrett said he didn't quite remember it being that way, but here is the verbatim minutes with the motion.
That was off the record.
So
well, we don't see it. Look, we still don't see it, so it's still off the record. We still don't see it.
Haven't you learned nothing is off the record?
Walls do talk.
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Bonner, it's still off the record.
Okay. Well, I'm going to, as she gets that on the record. Back in March 19th of 2020, when we went into COVID mode, the commission made an official vote to suspend all commission meetings, as well as all boards, authorities, and commission that it reports to. I hereby move, Mr. Sias, to conduct only 2 commission meetings per month with interactive abilities for both the public and the commission to attend, and we suspend all committee meetings. Additionally, all planning, other what you want to call it, governmental entities, that their meetings are canceled until further notice. So those meetings were canceled in March 19, 2020. However, later in May of this year, the commission reversed that to allow the boards and authorities to resume meeting. That was on June 15th of this year. It says a motion to allow boards, authorities, and commissions who are not meeting in the commission chamber to resume their in-person meetings effective June 14th, 2021. So I'm sure that's part of the reason why they have not been meeting. I'm not sure. I have not heard from any of the boards. I have heard that on occasions they did not have quorums. Now, these are the boards, authorities, and commissions. As you can see, district appointments, some of them are authorities that have been created by state law, a local legislation that answers to the commission. And they are not all district, they're consensus appointments, that meaning the commission, by a majority vote of the commission, these appointees are placed on these boards. However, you're right, Commissioner Son, in 2016, the commission asked for a report that you alluded to where we received board attendance, any vacancies or any issues that they were having, and obtaining quorums where they were missed districts that did not have representation that prevented them from attaining a quorum. And they're also governed by state law, as you are, in requiring attendance of a quorum to conduct their meetings.
So the question becomes, Bonner, do you think it's appropriate, based on what you just shared with us, to send back out what was sent in 16 to try to figure out what are their status and give us an update on quorum participation and the times that they're meeting again?
Yes, sir. They all have established meetings. I mean, I have that information I can send to you. They all have established meetings. Now, whether they're meeting, I don't know, because we have staff that are assigned to these boards as staff liaison, and they're responsible. Say, for instance, Personnel Board, Ms. Ruckert, Planning, Historic Preservation, the Zoning and Appeals Board, that's handled through Mr. Sherman's office. He's the staff liaison that keeps those records, those attendance records, as well as minutes and records of that nation. Board of Election, Ms. Bailey. So you see the boards, the Board of Tax Assessors, that's done by the Chief of Taxes. I think that's Mr. Roundtree now.
So do we have any way of knowing whether persons' appointees are being notified so they can take their rightful place on the boards?
Oh, yes, sir. They get appointment letters once the appointment is ratified by the commission. Each appointee receives an appointment letter, and that letter is also submitted to the staff liaison.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go to my other colleague. I have one more final question, but I don't want to feel like I'm hogging up all the time. Commissioner Franson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I appreciate bringing this both forward to commissioners, because I think what we need to do is I think we need to set a time frame on all these appointments and basically get who's on the board and see if there's any gaps from the commission where we can fill them. Then let's find out when is the last time they met, and met period, because I think there's some of these that have not met at all in years, and then there's some that are meeting that are going out and making public statements that I don't think they're necessarily meeting. about things going on in the community. And so I just think that like we need to set a guideline. I don't know what that is. It's 30 days and they bring back who's on the appointments, when's the last time they met, and how, maybe in the last year how many times they met, to where we can reevaluate like, okay, we need to fill these positions. We need to make sure they're meeting, or we need to say, you know what, do we even need these? Do we have to have them? If they're not meeting, what's the point of having them? So that's kind of where I'm thinking, is that we set some kind of time frame and get them to bring back that information to us.
Okay. Commissioner Bobby Williams, you in the queue again, or that's from the first time?
No, I'm in the queue again, but you can go on to Garrett.
I'll go to Commissioner Garrett then. Go, Commissioner Garrett.
Thank you, Chairman. I think this conversation is really something that we've all been having internally, just in regards to, when are these boards and authorities meeting? And one of the things that we're not hearing is there consensus when they do, or is there enough people there to have the meetings when they get there? So I think, just tagging along with what Commissioner Franham said, could we have attendance records for?
Sure. They can provide that to us once we request that. They did that in 16. Go back to 16. We requested that they send us updated talent bank questionnaires, their attendance. We gave them a time period on what we needed the attendance to be, or if they were having any issues, to notify the commission if they were unable to meet the quorum in order to conduct a meeting. So we took that back in 2016. So that's not an issue.
And I agree on the 30-day window of bringing it back. I think this is something that we need to look at fairly quickly.
Okay. I'm gonna take if I come at you, Commissioner Bobby Williams and Commissioner McKnight. Also, this is a legal question. Is our attorney gone? I'll go ahead on to Commissioner Bobby Williams and come back there.
He was going to leave it to you as junior attorney.
As junior attorney.
Well, that's a stipend now, additional stipend.
Gotcha. Ms. Bonner, if I may, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Ms. Bonner, Commissioner
Garrett.
Franham, you want attendance and what?
I think openings as well, because we need to see where we might need to be filling positions.
Okay. Attendance and openings, but I'd like, I don't know if we need a monthly report or a quarterly report going forward.
I mean, what do we want initially? And then once you maybe get that initial information, then you can determine if you probably would want it quarterly, monthly, quarterly, biannually.
And that's fine. And also maybe a summary of what they consider the important actions that we may need to know about.
Attorney Brown is shaking his head no.
Just summary of actions.
Summary of actions.
What they're doing.
Attorney Brown, you want to address that? Because like your senior head no to that question.
Takes off the mask.
Just as a ability to carry it out consistently, I think that's quite an extensive task. The commission, for the boards that are extremely active to the commission appoints liaisons who are supposed to keep the commission updated.
So you're saying, strike that, you would recommend not add that part to the process?
I'm saying that the liaison, that's a duty of the liaisons,
okay,
not the boards.
Okay.
The boards do have to have minutes, and those minutes are publicly available as well.
Okay, so can we get a copy of the minutes from time to time?
Well, we'll reiterate that. They were sending them regularly, and we would post them on the city's website, along with the commission minutes of our committee, our boards and authorities. But when COVID, I think everything went off center back in March. And now I think they're now beginning to get their sea legs under them again to get steady. But of course, we can make this. I'm not here to make excuses as to why they are and are not doing it. But we'll be more than happy to send out that communication to the boards and authorities requesting the information you're asking for.
And would you send us a schedule of when these folks meet?
Yes, sir, I can do that. I can do that.
Commissioner McKnight.
Yes, I just want to thank Mrs. Bonner, by the way. When I appointed 15 people on boards. I appreciate Ms. Bonner's work, reaching out to everyone and sending them out a letter. And on her behalf, she did a fabulous job reaching out to them. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have one other thing.
Go ahead, sir.
You gotta make a motion. Is it okay that we get a directory with all the chairmen of the boards or directors or whomever, so we can have that?
The chairman of the boards?
Yeah, whoever are running these
What, the
committees.
liaisons?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, we have a liaison, but I also want to talk to the director from time to time.
Okay, I'm not.
We have a liaison, correct?
Yes, that would be the department director.
Okay.
No, the liaison we appoint. What you mean, right?
No, we have a liaison that we appoint.
That you mean district appointees?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, but you also have a chairman of the board who may not be your district appointee, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, can we get a list of those phone numbers?
Phone numbers?
You're complicating it, Bob.
I'll talk to you later, Ms. Bonner.
No. I mean, let me say that. Now, those directives need to be sent to, well, and we can do that to those that you all have appointed. And I'm going to use, and I'm not picking on Mr. Sherman, but he comes to mind because he provides administrative support to several boards. I mean, the Riverfront Board, the Tree Commission Board, the Zoning and Appeals Board, the Planning Commission Board, the Historic Preservation Commission. So he's and his staff are having to supply administrative support to 5 boards outside of his everyday activities.
Okay, and
So,
all I'm asking for is the number for the chairman of each of those boards. But
the
we can talk about it.
chairpersons? Okay.
But we can talk about it later.
You could be tampering with somebody else's person. Just remember, be mindful of that.
Look.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Mr. Attorney, this question is for yourself. About, I think it was, I'm gonna say compensation or honorarium, whichever. And I'm gonna use an example, such as the Tax Assessors Board. I think many of us are aware of what their compensation honorarium is. Can we pretty much, the way it currently is, if a person serves on that board, whether they make the meetings or not, they're compensated. Can we make a rule from this commission about boards that are compensated? If they don't attend the meeting, they don't get compensated. Can we do that?
I would appreciate.
Together.
I will need to look into that, especially for the tax assessors board. That's a slightly different animal in terms of it has, in a large part, is regulated by the state as compared to some of the boards that we actually create. So there are some limitations, I think, what the commission can do. So I don't have a direct answer for you at this moment, but I will track that down and get with you on that.
Okay, but also remember, I want to encourage you to look at this too. Just remember to the compensation that it's got now, as we looked at how it got there, we looked at it and we looked back through minutes, and what it went through a budgetary process. So the commission was involved in terms of the amount of compensation. So I think it may be something that we could do if, that may be indirect. But those things just went that we approved by a budgetary process. Never something that actually went to the commission at the time and said, vote on to increase the blah, blah, blah. It was caught up in a budget, and that's how it got where it was. And as a result, right now, members can attend or not attend and still get equal compensation, which I think is unfair. So I appreciate you get back with us and tell us that. So the motion, Ms. Bonner, with the information that you got, let's try to see what that looks like in a motion as you understand it, Ms. Bonner.
You want the attendance records of the various boards and authorities that are appointed by the Augusta Commission.
The names of the individuals.
Okay, we
when
can.
and then their last meetings.
Okay, and the meeting dates?
And
Okay.
I'm not sure you need to put this in the motion, I won't say motion, but motion about recent actions. You said
They say
No.
you can get it off the website, Commissioner.
Well, we can ask that their minutes be provided as well.
In 30 days.
We can ask for that, certainly.
Is that your motion, Commissioner Franklin?
That's my motion.
Second. Voting.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry,
Once you
Commissioner.
get done. Once you get done.
Okay. Yes, sir, go ahead, Commissioner.
Is there any willingness to consent 2 through 6 on your agenda?
I have 2 through 3, I approve of them. But I do want to make some observations here
Okay.
about the MOUs. And so yes, so we can go from 4 through 7, and we can go ahead and, you want to make a motion to consent that?
Do we need to hear the number 7? Or are we good? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve 4 through 7.
Second.
Okay, the administrator had a comment, you said?
Just
Before we-
for the record, I know we've been really beating this horse to death. The first payments for the COVID pay actually went out on the 8th. So those who were eligible received 2 checks. Kind of came to our attention that while we have talked about it in these public meetings as well as sent out an all staff note, everyone doesn't read those. And so we're also going to give a more detailed breakdown to our department heads. So I know that the commission may get some calls asking when some of these happen, or folks have called saying, hey, I think I got double paid. We're going to make sure to even give an additional update that's individualized by department head so folks know about this program. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. I'm putting the item number 2 and 3 together. So if the
We need to.
We need to carry the vote, sir.
I thought you carried it already.
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
We didn't.
I thought we did. Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Y'all been putting some hot.
Jedi. You having a Jedi meeting.
Yeah, they done put some hot sauce into my man's food.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, ma'am. If the committee doesn't mind, I'd like to put item 2 and 3 together. I just want to make a couple of observations. I have to get any comments from it because obviously I support it as well. And that's the MOUs that's in the book, and obviously we got an addendum to make those corrections. And my mind, it still doesn't correct that because it still says, one of them says, summary financial, Augusta, Georgia receives funding from bond annually, and then it comes out until what account is going to come from. That still doesn't answer the question on either one of those documents. And you look in your book, the compensation is not there, and so I just look forward to that being there next week as we come before the commission. I definitely support the effort of HCD in terms of what they're doing, but the MOU does not reflect that in any form or fashion. So if you can get a motion to
approve.
Second.
Old Garden City Jazz.
Yeah. Who is that? Bobby Williams. Go ahead. That motion carries unanimous with the information to be included in next week's agenda.
Is that the end of the administrative service, Ms. Bonner?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Bobby, the mayor pro tem woke both of us out, didn't he?
All right, we're going to get engineering services going.
Praise God.
You know what?
Ms. Bonner, are there any additions or deletions?
Sir?
We're on engineering.
Yes, sir.
Are there any additions or deletions?
No, sir.
There should be an addition.
I don't have it.
Ms. Bonner, I can help out with that piece. That's the Ms. Bonner, I think the one addition that is requested by Commissioner Garrett or Chairman Garrett is related to the change in control for Orion Waste Management. And that addition is a request, a motion for approval of a change in control as defined in Section 20-4 of the SWRCA, which is dated August 7th of 2012, to include the front load services agreement dated May 4th of 2020, the Augusta Landfill solid waste disposal agreement dated March 9th of 2019, agreements and all subsequent amendments approving the change in control from Inland Waste Solutions to Lakeshore Recycling and then to Coastal Waste and Recycling LLC. This approval being subject to and contingent upon Coastal Waste and Recycling becoming a signatory to suggest agreements and otherwise complying to the terms of the agreements. And Commissioner Garrett does have that motion, and I believe he can forward it over in between now and the adoption if it is brought on for unanimous consent during this committee meeting.
Commissioner Hassan?
Yes, Chairman, I support it coming on board, but I would like to, because we haven't seen it, to send it before the commission without any recommendations.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a second?
Who we need here?
We need Ms.
Ms. Catherine,
McKnight, or Mr. Hassan and Mr.
Yeah.
Garrett. Mr. Jordan is out. Johnson.
Motion to approve. You
Second.
already, okay.
What, to approve?
To bring it on board and to
I
send
mean,
it to
the full
commission
commission's going to have to see it anyway.
You have to see it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it.
He's saying to bring it on and move it forward.
To bring it, in other words, allow it to come on the committee, and then, but I'm also voting.
This will get it on the agenda.
Get it on the
for
agenda,
next.
right?
Okay. On this agenda? Are we talking about commission agenda?
He said on the commission agenda. In other words, his point, if you don't get it on
Well,
now, it's not going to make the commission
okay,
agenda.
let me just say this. What you're doing is you're adding it to the committee agenda without objection.
Exactly.
And that is to consider this motion.
That's right.
And that it be placed on the full commission agenda with the recommendation?
Without a recommendation.
Without a recommendation, yes, sir. And who's to supply the clerk's office with this information?
It's in your email.
When? Today?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Voting?
That motion carries with Mr. Johnson out.
All right. If there is no objection, I would like to consent items 1, 2, and 4.
Second, motion to approve 1, 2, and 4.
Second.
Voting, Ms. Bonner.
Okay. Mr. Hassan.
I thought it voted. I think I pushed my cell phone.
That just means you've been talking too much today.
Yeah, yeah.
Good point. Good catch.
That motion carries unanimously.
All righty, Ms. Bonner. And
Yes,
for
sir.
item number 3, there are some people here that need to speak towards this item. So,
Okay. Item 3 is to receive an update regarding the hunting in Finney Swamp area on the city-owned property and approve recommended action requested by Gust Engineering Department.
this was forwarded back to us from previous conversation. We were trying to get some input from DNR in regards to what this would look like. I believe there is a representative here from DNR. Oh, there's all kinds of representatives.
Okay.
You don't look like the other people. So if I could get who's going to speak towards this to come up here, please. And Dr. Malik, if you want to start us off and fill us in on where we currently are, and then we'll get DNR's recommendation.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good afternoon. Yeah, we were tasked by this body that go back and do the assessment with the request of the citizen for hunting. So, just as a background, that's around 329 acres owned by, but purchased by the Augusta utility for extension of wastewater treatment plant. And I think due to close to the airport, they just limit their constructed wetland further back close to the plant. So this area is wooded area. So I did have a discussion with the AUD staff and the director, and then also we were tasked to get with the DNR. So they are here and they're going to go over their plan. So in summary, Augusta utility has some concern from the safety and the management point of view, that who's going to manage it, and it's too close to that. DNR, they manage the other area, other side. They're on the I-520 Bobby Jones right now. So they have very favorable opinion that they can easily manage this area, included that. So my recommendation at this point is that let's, if we can get resolved AUD concern with the DNR, then I think we should be open to consider this option. But I'm going to let them kind of speak a little bit in more detail.
All right. Thanks, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
If I could get your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Lee Taylor. I'm the Game Management Regional Supervisor. My address is 2407 West Vineland Road in Augusta, Georgia.
Thanks, sir. In regards to what Director Malik was speaking towards, can you kind of fill us in on what your recommendations would be?
Yeah, we would just develop an MOU between the state and the county, and manage it as part of Finney Swamp Wildlife Management Area. We would recommend archery only, given its location and proximity to the airport and stuff like that. We would just have that area archery hunting only for deer, turkey, and small game.
And in reference to the Finney Swamp area, I'm familiar with that area. That's not archery only, right?
Correct. It is archery for deer, but there's also fishing opportunities, alligator hunting opportunities, and small game hunting opportunities out there.
Okay.
As well as waterfowl hunting as well.
For some reason, I thought there was a rifle season in there.
Deer rifle? No, sir.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I guess that fits in pretty well then. So if my committee is open to what the DNR is recommending, can I get a motion?
Can I get the attorney to? I'm sorry.
Oh, attorney, did you have anything to?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think our attorney was looking at it too.
Mr. Wackenbush, did you have anything that you wanted to add to this? Or are you in agreement with what is being recommended?
I'd just like to get it recommended so I can go hunt.
We're trying to get you there, sir.
Sir?
I'm over here.
Okay.
But in regards to, you spoke to us the last time you were here.
Yes.
Do you think this is a good way to go with archery?
Yes,
only?
sir. I don't do nothing but bow hunting anyway. So, I mean, I can understand about the shooting part because of the airport and the way the airport boulevard is and people down there fishing. It's really easy to get missed around in the swamp and shoot the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going into the swamp to hunt. I'm hunting the edge of the swamp.
I understand. All right. Thanks, sir. Attorney Brown?
If I heard the speaker at the podium correctly, did he say that he'll want Augusta to get with the state to get an MOU? Is there any kind of guidance as to the time of year this hunting would be? Would it be all year? Are there hours of the day or days of the week that's done? Since I think, or areas, is that segregated?
Yes, sir. There's specific hunting season dates and legal shooting hours and stuff like that. So, and we would recommend just following the county season dates and legal shooting time limits. And we also had on there, I believe, possibly a limited alligator season on county-owned ponds and lakes and stuff like that. That's we remove on average about 15 to 20 nuisance alligators in the Richmond, Burke County area each year. We could have a reduced season, maybe a 2 or 3 week season on some of the county-owned ponds, thus cutting down some of the nuisance alligator opportunities as well as create some new recreational opportunities.
Would you recommend like a lottery system for that?
So what I would recommend is for we're in zone 9, which is a 13 county management zone. We give out 80 quota tags for that. And so I would just think a reduced hunting season, like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that, that would probably be all you would need to kind of handle your nuisance problems as well as take care of, provide that recreational opportunity.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Reduce administrative burden.
Does that clarify your question, Attorney Brown?
Yes. Also, is the commission interested in only approving the drafting of such MOUs for the commission review and consideration as opposed to making a decision now?
I know there's a few other questions, so we'll get there.
Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner McKnight, it looks like you are next.
I was going to make a motion, but we might want to move on down to supervision.
Commissioner Clark.
Thank you, Director or Chairman. Were you approving item B, section 1, and 2 was not in it? Am I correct?
You're asking me, or?
I'm asking what the motion was.
There's not a current motion on the floor.
Okay, because, I'm not on your committee, but I'm going to put in my 2 cents worth here. I wouldn't approve either, but that's my own personal reasons and opinions. But I certainly would not even begin to add in the Mayor's Fishing Hole, the Lake Olmsted, the Gordon Highway Ponds. You're just opening up a recipe for disaster. I mean, you really are. And I would wholeheartedly hope that you really wouldn't pass this at all. This is just opening up a door for disaster. That's all.
Thanks, sir. Well, I know the main area that's in question here is surrounded by Finney Swamp, which is already hunted regularly. In regards to the other ponds, the Mayor's Pond fits right into that area as well. Now, Lake Olmsted, I think that may be an item for further discussion internally. But in regards to what's being discussed, I believe, as the attorney has recommended, is that we make a motion for the MOU to be put in place before we vote officially on this, or to be drafted.
Can I ask a question first, Mr. Chairman?
You just did.
Yes, sir.
I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I like to. I think Wes has moved up. Mr. Bynes, Director Bynes has moved up front as well. Allow him to weigh his. I think he probably want to give his opinion as well on this.
All right, Director Biden.
Sure. I think in looking at this, the AUD has not been hasn't been as supportive of this going into it due to the proximity to the wetland cells themselves. I think going forward, we need to look at the MOU and what it would look like when the dates would be open. All the things that we've all kind of kicked around in here, but as far as opening up for hunting today, we would like to kind of step back and say, okay, what does the MOU look like going forward?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion to allow the attorney to do his research and bring up a draft MOU, to try to, for everybody can take a look at it before we make a decision. That's my motion.
Second.
We're good. All right, Ms. Bonner, we are going to take a vote on that. Gentlemen, thank you all for helping us work through this, and thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
That motion carries. It's unanimous.
Thank you, ma'am. If there is no further business, I believe that is the end of engineering.
Thank goodness.
We're adjourned.